Dr. Drew. My name is Shannon Quinn, and I will be presenting Puerto Rico as my individual country. Puerto Rico is a prime territory for investment incentives and opportunities for foreign companies, especially in the political and legal, economic, social and cultural, and marketing condition factors. While these factors vary greatly, each provides key reasoning as to why a company like yours should invest in Puerto Rico. Let's take a look at political and legal factors. Puerto Rico is part of the United States political, monetary, and legal system. I'm sure you are aware of the U.S. and its policies. However, the island also offers the benefits of operating within this jurisdiction while providing tax benefits of foreign tax structure. Puerto Rico is also part of the U.S. Free Trade Zone and customs systems and adheres to the U.S. banking regulations, also known as the FDIC. Additionally, incentive acts have been implemented to stimulate economic development and attract foreign direct investment throughout the following industries: manufacturing, tourism, real estate, services, insurance, agriculture, hospitality, hotel development, and renewable energy. And finally, the political aspects are quite inviting as well. The Popular Democratic Party emphasizes the economic incentives under the island's Commonwealth status, which includes federal tax exemption and foreign investment incentives. Next is economic advantages. Due to the tax incentives, Puerto Rico is one of the most open economies in the world with a total trade of $100 billion in exports and imports combined. The taxation is a great attractant for corporations. Puerto Rico's corporate taxes were reduced to 30% last year and have expectancy to drop to 25% by 2014. Additionally, industries such as manufacturing and services have been awarded a 4% fixed income tax rate, while pioneer activity receives an even more impressive tax rate of 0 to 1%. And finally, an economic advantage in Puerto Rico also lies among economic affairs, including Operation Bootstrap and the Foreign Trade Board. Operation Bootstrap focuses on the combination of local labor and foreign investments based on industrializations. Now let's watch a short clip on why Puerto Rico is attractive as a tax haven.
In 1952, when Puerto Rico, the Commonwealth, was created by Congress, Puerto Rican residents do not pay U.S. federal income taxes. Last year, the government passed 3 laws: Law 20, 22, and 273.
Which mean?
Which mean that if you're a U.S. citizen and you move to Puerto Rico, you would pay 4% on earned income, 0 on distributions and dividends, but only from Puerto Rico's source income.
So you've got to move your business there.
You've got to move your business there. And that is something that I think we're going to see a number of hedge fund people do. Puerto Rico is very livable. Schools are good. It's an easy commute to New York and to Miami and Chicago.
Barry, was the idea here explicitly to turn Puerto Rico into an alternative to, say, the Caymans or perhaps Bermuda or the Isle of Man or Guernsey, whatever the case may be?
Singapore.
An alternative to Singapore.
That was the idea.
But it is targeted very much at hedge funds.
Hedge funds, private equity funds, etc. To bring these people down there, there's a very well-trained bilingual workforce and great schools, private schools, parochial schools. So it can be very attractive.
Was this done in response to the fact that the Puerto Rican economy is doing so poorly and they need a game plan here? One would think that the U.S. government or the IRS would say, take a hike.
Can't. The way the Commonwealth was set up, if you're a resident of Puerto Rico, which means you're there more than half the year, you don't pay federal taxes on income earned in Puerto Rico. There's only 2 ways they can change that. One is make Puerto Rico the 51st state, which I don't think is in the cards for a very, very long time, or to put enough pressure on the government of Puerto Rico to, move these laws, and I don't see them doing that either. There are 4 million U.S. citizens who live in Puerto Rico, another 4 or 5 million Puerto Ricans who are stateside, and they need this to grow their economy.
Is this why you became a Puerto Rican resident this year?
Yes. Yep, it is.
So,
He's walking the
besides
walk.
yourself,
Yeah,
Barry,
yeah.
and John Paulson, whom we've been talking about, who hasn't, from what we understand, made a decision yet, but is looking, how much momentum is there behind this
lot.
effort to turn Puerto Rico into a tax,
a lot.
sort of a tax haven for hedge funds?
A lot. There have been a lot of private equity and hedge fund people down there looking. And they're looking at the housing, they're looking at the schooling, they're looking at the style of living, they're looking at what the workforce is there because they'll have to hire some people.
Can I ask you a frank question? What do we make of a guy like, let's just use John Paulson as an example, right? He's born in New York City, raised here, gone to school in New York City.
Made all his dough
Right,
here.
so some people would argue that New York has made him what he is. What do you make of a guy who decamps for Puerto Rico and leaves his hometown behind and everything else that maybe some people feel he ought to give back to the city?
And not John in specific, any of these titans,
Well,
really.
I think John specifically, if I remember correctly, John donated $100 million to the Central Park Conservancy
He did.
last year. So he's done some pretty good giving back. I think it's his legal right to do what he wants to
This
do.
isn't a question about what's legally
I don't
right.
think-
It's about
I don't
what's
think there's anything
morally
wrong.
right,
I
I guess.
don't think there's anything morally wrong with it also. I would think that any of these hedge fund and private equity people will still have a significant presence in Manhattan, okay? It's just a personal tax thing for these people.
You have seen some people start to make the move. What kind of companies
We have hedge funds and private equity people.
have already made the move?
Yes.
How many do you need to really get the momentum going that this is going to be a movement, that we're going to say this is the new Cayman, this is the new Geneva?
You need quite a few because you really need to hire, hundreds of people at, very good paying jobs. And it's not an easy thing for people to do. I mean, moving to Puerto Rico for people that are based in New York or Chicago or Washington or whatever, is not easy. Now, I've been there 17 years doing business there, and I don't speak 2 words of Spanish.
But John Paulson does.
He does. But you don't need to speak Spanish to live there. Everybody speaks English. It's totally bilingual.
Well, it may be a tough move, but I don't know. It was snowing here in New York City in March on Friday. Might not be the worst move in the
I
world.
was at the Puerto Rican PGA Golf Open Friday. It was 82, beautiful, sunny.
And I was in galoshes. All right, our special thanks to Barry.
Now, as the CEO of your company, you're probably wondering about the stability of Puerto Rico's economy due to recent years of low economic growth. Well, the economy has transitioned. Previously, it had federal incentives, external capital, a large government, high taxation, and it was inward-oriented with low skill and low wages. It is now transformed to adhere local incentives, local capital, a smaller government, low taxes, and is outward-oriented with high skill and high productivity. As the transition continues, Puerto Rico has implemented a new model for business affairs. The model focuses on global orientation, social responsibility, technological drive, adaptability, and flexibility. Each element assists to the country's progression towards economic growth. Due to the previous elements, the projected economic forecast is estimated at 1.1% GNP by 2014. Next, we will take a look at social and cultural benefits for investing in Puerto Rico. While English is considered to be a more difficult language worldwide, Spanish shares many similarities of other languages globally. This bilingual culture will lower language barriers when partaking in local and/or foreign business affairs. Among the island, there are nearly 3.9 million citizens, making the island densely populated. Within this population are various races and cultural backgrounds, including European, African, and modern Caribbean influences. Diversity is the key for business expansion. It provides larger target markets and more areas to gain market share of within an industry. While the new tax incentives are increasing interest among all industries, manufacturing, services, real estate, and tourism are the largest areas of opportunity. Puerto Rico's biotechnology manufacturing capacity is one of the largest in the world, placing focus on pharmaceuticals. The United States alone hosts 11 out of 20 manufacturing companies here. Like mentioned previously, Puerto Rico has a skilled and productive labor force, which means the service industries can expect to meet labor demands. The educational background and professional business style also plays greatly into service promotion and sales. Real estate in Puerto Rico has been a prosperous market as well. Because of its tropical vibe, the island specializes in various styles of housing for any type of family. From luxury homes and condos to traditional apartments, properties, and even beach houses, Puerto Rico's real estate is vibrant. It also is attractive for investment and commercial properties. Tourism is the fastest growing industry on the island. The tropical beaches and climate are the greatest natural assets, attracting consumers and businesses from all over the world. The uniquely blended African, Spanish, and Caribbean tradition and influences have generated colorful and diverse foods, music, and customs that appeal to international tourism. Now, before you voice concerns and doubts, I will personally discuss potential challenges facing business expansion into Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, the Puerto Rican Independence Party and Puerto Rican Socialist Party favor independence for the island state. If those parties were to be admitted to office, political and legal regulations would probably change, leaving little incentive for investors. However, these parties are much smaller and less significant than the current Popular Democratic Party, so there shouldn't be any concern for quite some time. Another issue may be the tax incentives. These incentives are greater for residents and require 6 months residency to attain. However, the economy has just begun changing towards a positive growth, so 6 months would be minimal. The return on equity would be a greater opportunity for any investing company. Then there is the fact that the islanders are considered timeless. Business practices are very different, and companies need to adapt to these variations. At times, employees may be late to opening business or may not even open at all. There is no set schedule here, which is very different from the corporate world of many other communities. Additionally, I'm sure you're asking yourself, well, if the taxes are so great, won't the competition be increasing? Well, absolutely, but competition increases everywhere. By getting your foot in the door now, you have more opportunity to gain market share sooner. Now that I've shared with you the pros and cons to investing and expanding into Puerto Rico, I hope you take the necessary steps to expand your company. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them at this time. Thank you.